Good morning. This is the time and place set for the regularly scheduled March meeting of the Nevada Taxicab Authority Board, March 18th. The hour is 9:30. We are at the Nevada Business Center, 3300 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 400, Las Vegas, Nevada. I will call as to order. The record should reflect that present are Vice Chair Graff, Member Vasquez, Member Weekly is on his way. Member Decker is out of the state of Nevada on business for the state of Nevada and is excused. I would ask you to, and the administrator and staff are present. I'd ask you to stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Having reviewed published notices, affidavits of posting, and confirmations of posting, it appears to me this meeting has been posted and noticed in accordance with the open meeting law. And clerk, do you confirm? That will take us to agenda item 2, which is our first public comment session. This matter is placed on our agenda pursuant to Chapter 241 of the Nevada Revised Statutes for the purpose of receiving comments from members of the public on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the board. We may not take action on those matters today, but we do welcome members of the public providing input to us on the mission of the board and the authority. Is there any member of the public present in Las Vegas who would wish to address us? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, is there anybody remotely who wishes to address us?
Not at this time.
I will close the public comment, the first public comment session. We're going to take item 8 first out of order as we are permitted to by the open meeting law. This is the application by Taxi Management et al. For a transfer of interest. Matters being taken out of order to accommodate the schedule of council, Mr. Scher, who is chair of the Nevada Ethics Commission and who has a meeting with important business of the state at 11 p.m. Good morning.
Morning.
The appearances, if you would.
Morning, Chairman Reeser, Vice Chairman Graff, Member Vasquez, staff, the Taxicab Authority. For the record, Scott Shearer appearing on behalf of Taxi Management, LLC, and its affiliated certificated taxicab operators, including Nevada Yellow Cab Corporation, Nevada Checker Cab Corporation, Nevada Star Cab Corporation, YCS Acquisition LLC, Cab Transport LLC, Taxi Transport LLC, and 21st Century Taxi LLC. I might just make a few brief remarks and then introduce those that are with me.
Great. One matter for the there are affidavits of public notice of this public hearing. Does any member of the public wish to review those affidavits of posting? Hearing none, please proceed.
Thank you. And first of all, thank you for taking us out of order today. I appreciate the courtesy in that regard. The certificate carriers are owned currently by 6 families, 1/6 each. The matter before you today is a request for approval of the redemption by the certificated carriers of the ownership interest held by one of those 6 families. If this matter is approved, the certificated carriers will redeem the ownership interest, leaving 5 families owning 20% each of the certificate carriers. All of the remaining owners have previously been approved by this board. There are no strangers to these certificates being introduced by this transaction. The certificate carriers will continue to operate as they have previously operated. Michael Balin, who is here with us today, will remain the general manager. With us on behalf of the remaining owners are Athena Eliadis, Katerina Eliadis, and Jamie Burton. They can all affirm that the parties have a meeting of the minds on this agreement. In fact, the agreement was executed yesterday. It will not close, obviously, until we have your approval. And with us on behalf of the sellers is Jonathan Schwartz, along with the sellers counsel, Kimberly Maxon Rushton. I'd like to turn it over to her to introduce herself for the record and to make any remarks that she might have.
One question before the agreement as executed by the parties yesterday is in the form that was given to us and redacted.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
But the second time, there were two versions provided. Second,
Right.
it's in the form of the second.
Okay.
Not the one we got yesterday. Okay.
Yeah. There's one filed under seal with the application and then there was an amended.
Yes, sir. That's correct. For the record, I'm Kimberly Rushton, Maxon Rushton with the law firm Cooper Levinson. Good morning, Chair, members of the Nevada Taxicab Authority Board, Administrator Park, Ms. Webb. I'd like to thank you, as consistent with Mr. Shear's comments, for taking this out of order. Joining me today is the applicant seller, Mr. Jonathan Schwartz. Him and his entities, as relayed by Mr. Shear, are transferring their interest pursuant to a stock redemption. If approved today, that will be the exit of Mr. Schwartz's interest in Yellow Checker Star and the new cab companies. But most importantly, as you know, this matter requires an application and approval because it involves a transfer of interest. However, if approved, as noted by Mr. Shear, there will be no material changes to the ownership structure. There'll be one less controlling owner. In addition to that, there will be no changes to the management and day-to-day operations. The company will maintain its commitment to safety and compliance as it's done historically for decades. And as previously noted, each of the remaining controlled shareholders have been previously vetted and been found to be fit, willing, and able to serve as taxicab operators. With that, we're happy to answer any questions you have. Otherwise, I respectfully submit that it's a relatively straightforward application and appreciate your consideration and approval. Thank you.
Raph and I both counsel confirm this is an 8030 as we were talking about it and again.
Perhaps an 8020?
I mean, an 802, I'm sorry, 8020, yeah, not to a stranger.
Correct.
And it's a redemption. So the equity interest will, using old parlance, go back to Treasury and would be available for issuance if companies want to sell it.
Correct.
And the effect of the transaction is not to actually move any security among the parties, but rather to adjust their percentage of ownership.
That's correct.
The only transfers back to the companies.
Pardon?
The only transfer is redemption by back to the
Correct.
companies.
But there's no transfer among.
Correct.
Right. And then the interest that was held previously by Mr. Schwartz will be evenly distributed to the other controlling shareholders. And that will be an increase of less than 4%. And as noted by Mr. Shear, it'll be right at 20%.
So 16.6 is going to.
Yes, sir.
I've read all of the material that was provided to us. We did request and the council did provide us good standings and all of the corporate documents. This is not, I was able to trace them. This is just a question as to whether I'm missing something or I just overlooked it. It seemed to me that some of the names of the entities were slightly different in the corporate documents than on the certificate.
And I can answer that question, Chair Reeser. The reason why is because as you see in your packet, the certificates are old and antiquated. The earliest one, I believe, is from 1980, dealing specifically with Yellow Cab. And then subsequently, there were other acquisitions. In 2020, Jeff Burr's office did restructure the company to form a series LLC. At that time, the names changed. And so what you have in front of you, as noted by Mr. Shear, relative to the Nevada Star, the acquisition or YCS acquisition, those were previously under a different name. They were renamed pursuant to the series LLC. We provided those documents to you. So again, the objective is to ensure or assure the board that everything lines up. Same entities that you previously approved, the certificates consistent with the number of medallions that have been authorized, and most importantly, the controlling shareholders who are your familiar.
I traced it.
Yes, sir. But there have been name changes.
And you confirmed what I thought. It was because at the time of issuance of the CPCNs, there was one name and since changed it.
Yes, sir.
Changed hands. Sure.
Has the staff tracked all of them? All the licenses and everything else and the names, and are you comfortable with what Miss Rushton has?
I'm comfortable with what she presented, but I will tell you, I have not had the time to.
I,
I trust you.
Ms. Webb was unavailable to do it, so I did.
Okay. Okay,
So staff did not.
all right.
But I will tell you, if I may, Chair and members of the board, we submitted responses to staff's data request.
Right.
And pursuant to the second
Yeah.
exhibit, there's a chronology, or not chronology, excuse me, but a list of the owners of the respective companies, pre and post. So that gives you, again, the understanding as to the specific, how the controlling interest is held, the representative from each respective company, and then what their shares will be pre and post. And as for tracing member graph, what we've done is we line that up specifically with the charts that you have in there.
And that's what I was gonna say.
Yes, sir.
I went and looked through the visual charts and I was just gonna, my next question was, are the visual charts accurately reflecting what you're asserting? Because if that's what I look,
Yes, sir. We know you like a chart.
yeah.
I'll-
Yes.
Thank you.
Member Weekly, do you have any questions?
I think I'm okay. Thank you.
Administrator, anything? No, sure. No. Just to take back, just administratively for us to look at whether or not we need to correct the PCNs to like administratively correct those, just like if there were a different licensing name
Yeah.
in one of the other agencies so that they sync to the company. What's clear to me is through the various iterations of ownership changes, you had the original CPCNs and they were never administratively synced to the new entity names, which are substantially the same. You can figure out star is star and,
Right.
but they do have there's slight deviations. Probably should. So somebody 20 years from now won't go, what happened? Yeah. When they can't find the minutes. Not being snarky, just truthful. I have no other questions. If there are no other questions, I think it's right for a motion.
I'd move to approve the transfer
Mhm.
as presented.
Moved by Brad, second by Buzz. Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And Member Reeser, I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to thank your staff. They worked diligently, especially Ms. Webb and I with Mr. Scherer to get this through. But I also think it's noteworthy to note the fact that Mr. Schwartz's family has been in the taxi business here in Clark County for decades. And as your approval notes, the fact that this will be the end of his relationship with the taxi companies, he will certainly remain involved in the community and do all of the things that he's continued to do for so many years, and that is to contribute. But I think it's noteworthy to recognize his family for the many contributions that they've made to this industry and his leadership.
Thank you.
Yes.
One, just administrative, will one or both of you send a letter when you've closed? I know you intend to close promptly, just so that we know it's done.
Yes, sir.
Well,
We don't have one of those we had recently that hung out there for 3 years. Okay. Thank you.
thank you very much. And also appreciate all the work on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
that order.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Well, good luck. Good skill. Takes us to agenda item 3, which is approval of February 18th board minutes and workshop meeting minutes. They are not completed. So we will handle those at the next meeting. There's some rough drafts, but they're rough review. Take us to agenda item 4, which is on our agenda for industry discussion. This matter is regularly on our docket so that we may take comment or input from members of the industry on matters that they think we should be aware of or requests that they may have. Is there any member of the industry present in Las Vegas that would like to provide comment? Being none, is there anybody remotely in the industry who wants to speak? There's nobody remote who remotely has any intention of talking about this. That completes agenda item 4. That takes us to agenda item 5, which is a presentation by the airport managing director of landside operations, Jocelyn Trainer. I got, okay, like the construction company. Okay. And regarding modernization efforts that could affect taxicab parking, staging, and signage. Thank you. And thank you, Administrator, for commenting. Because we have somewhat archaic technology, if you would put your names on the record and then when you're speaking, put it on again. So.
Okay, absolutely. Jocelyn Frainer, Clark County Department of Aviation, Managing Director of Landside Operations.
Jared Orch, I'm the airport manager for landside operations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time and meeting with us today, and definitely wanted for awareness. We want to bring things forward, and we appreciate the current collaboration and participation we've had as a group. And so we'll go through that. But at the airport, we are very busy, right? We've hit record number of passengers year over year. Basically, we had a slight decline last year, but we still hit 55 million or just under 55 million. So we've experienced a lot of traffic congestion, and a lot of roadway congestion, especially on our peak period days, being Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And during this time, we see a lot of backup. And so that's our current challenges, as you can see, is we're challenged with access specifically into our garage for the arrivals curb, with the activity that flows to that backing up basically both sides of the valley. So if you're coming southbound from Tropicana, that road backs all the way up, but the Paradise backs all the way up due to the congestion in those peak times. Or if you're actually coming through the northbound tunnel as well, we experience backup all the way to the 215 on a regular basis. And so we've been looking at what we can do to make that better for quite some time. We also have some roadway challenges just with the general weaving, even as you're approaching the airport, as far as trying to get to your destinations, whether you're a taxi cab or whether you're going to the arrivals curb or limo or whatnot. There's some weaving that happens there. So we're looking at all our roadway systems, and we're looking at how we can improve that, along with the entrance into the public into the garage. But if we can go to the next one. So those are our current challenges. So our objectives are to address these peak period flows and to align with our modernization program. We do have plans going in the future that are currently being looked at as far as modernization, as far as future, but that's, those are kind of 5 to 8 years out. We're looking at how we can most address our kind of immediate needs right now. So we're looking at how we can eliminate some of those weavings, how we can create less congestion, or at least make the flow a lot better. And we did solicit help with that. We hired some consultants. So basically, Condo is an engineering firm that helped us to look at this, to do a lot of studies and analysis. And they analyzed these current conditions, and they did simulations and modeling based on different scenarios and what we could do. Being the objectives is to maximize all of our Terminal 1 curb space. So specifically, especially for the transportation industry, right off baggage claim, people get off the planes, they come and get their luggage, and they want to be able to get to the strip or to their destination. So we want to maximize the use of that curb space. We felt there was some opportunities there. We also wanted to increase the parking garage capacity. We do fill our parking garage, our long-term garage at Terminal 1 peak capacity multiple times every weekend, really from March through January. And this includes also our economy products that are next to the garage as well. So we are constrained with our capacity there. So we want to be able to maximize our capacity. And we want to minimize any cascading traffic as much as we can, especially as you're trying to get into the airport. We've also introduced reservation parking to kind of allow an ability for people that are planning ahead to reserve. And we're gonna also try to enhance that program. So these are a lot of the goals and objectives that we have as we brought Recondo in to do this study. Next slide. So this slide shows the existing paths of travel for each mode of transportation that we specifically focused on, being the taxi, per capita, and TNC. You can see that per capita currently takes up where the green arrow currently is going. It's going over there to basically the east side of baggage claim, where taxi's on the west side, and TNC currently is located in the garage on level 2, has about 72 parking spaces in there. They enter through the arrivals area. Basically, they come into level 2, they do a hairpin turn, almost a complete 180 to get into and around the garage and to get to their destination, which also does contribute a lot to that cascading and a lot of that backed up traffic that you see throughout. And so as we studied this, we looked at both the modes of transportation and their current market shares as far as the volumes that they do on estimated hourly time period, along with all their peak time periods, so that we can make sure that whatever we're doing hopefully improves the traffic flow, and does not limit or take away from anybody's ability to continue to do operation to the most efficient way possible at the airport. So in this study, what we looked at, or what we've decided is per capita, we are going to utilize the area on door 14. And this shows both, but I'm going to go to the next slide because it gives a better outline of that. So the suggested new path of travel that we're looking to go for is putting per capita, what we call door 14, on the north side of baggage claim, taking taxis and moving them from where their existing location is right now to the other side, to the east side of baggage claim, which is where they were quite some time ago. For those of you that were here, probably late 90s, early 2000s, and then taking TNCs out of the garage and putting them where the taxis are today. This is planned to be a phased approach. So like I said, this is for awareness, and we look to engage all of our stakeholders and partners throughout this whole process to make sure that it flows as good as possible. I mean, at the end of the day, we want the best customer service as possible for those that are coming in and out of the valley, for both locals and for tourists aligned, right? So we know how important it is to make sure that we're staying in front of this, that we engage the stakeholders early, and that we continue to communicate with them and get feedback on how we can make this as positive as possible. So phase 1, the first phase is per capita. They currently have the smallest amount of market share. It is an RFP process. That RFP is we have engaged with them. We have let that industry know that this is coming. The RFP should be going out to the street sometime this month. And that'll be to utilize what's door 14. So it's the very north side of baggage claim. If you're familiar with baggage claim, it's where the carousels 13 and 14 are on that side. So as you walk out, you're right there looking basically at the strip. So putting them where that green arrow is, and then that'll be phase 1. Once that is complete, that'll free up that curb on the other side of on the east side of baggage claim for us to do some improvements and modifications and so forth, and to get it prepared to move taxis over from their area to this area. So that will be what you see on the diagram is the yellow path of travel. We have general timelines. We don't have specific timelines. And again, we're going to do this in a phased approach, and we're going to make sure that each phase is working before we jump to the next phase, to make sure it's, at the end of the day, this is all about the customer. So our estimated timeline to do this is sometime between August and September. in making this move or this transition. And we'll talk about some of the challenges with each as we go. But we move in taxis from basically from the like we said, from the east side to the west side, and then we'll take TNCs, take them out of the garage, and bring them over where taxis are today, which will be the third and the final phase. In our working with Recondo, and we had the benefit of both working with Recondo as our consulting firm, but also everything that we did as we talked about modernization and what's coming up. We also shared that with our modernization team, who has a firm called HMTB looking at the modernization plans. So everything that we've done, we've been transparent with both companies and looking at and modeling and so forth, and had the benefit of kind of getting it vetted from both consultants, if you will. But it does show that what we are looking to do balances the curbside demands around baggage claim. Still trying to keep everybody on what we consider beachfront property right there, right outside baggage claim. It does reduce the roadway congestion. It increases public parking capacity. We're adding the 296 spaces that we've lost in the garage that we're using for TNCs, and we're adding them back to our total capacity of parking. It does show that based on the current demands for both TNC and taxi, that both those curbs can handle it. The reason for the current taxi is longer, linear, and a little deeper. And the other is just on the other side, just a little more shallow, but about the same distance. But it does show that they can handle those demands. However, with the taxi specifically, we will have to change the way we operate a little bit at the airport, and that's basically by instituting what we call virtual queuing. And I want to specifically thank Todd Park and Curtis Melfer. Denver has recently gone through this. There's a number of airports that are utilizing virtual queuing, Denver, San Diego, San Francisco, to name a few, but Denver just recently went through it. So we were able to go out and visit Denver as a group collectively, and I appreciate their participation to just kind of see how it's going and how it works. And it was a very, very good and beneficial trip because, all of our concerns, all the things that we wonder how this is going to work or what's the best way to roll it out, they were able to kind of help guide and address us with that, along with seeing how taxi drivers in general at first were opposed to a little bit. It's changed. It's a little different, but how now it benefits them. Instead of coming to the airport at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever it is, whatever time you plan to get there, and waiting in line for hours and hours till you get your first bank of arriving passengers that day for that specific mode, they're able to do it online. They're able to get online, get in a virtual queue. It tells them where they're at in that queue. It gives them based on the day and the peak times, that's that which will continue to get better and better based on the algorithms, gives them a understanding window where they can be. So they're able to plan their day better, hopefully get out, whether their objective is to get out and do additional rides before they come to the airport, or whether the objective is to spend more time with family or whatever it is. Hopefully it allows them to plan their day better. But it will be something necessary to doing these changes is to do a virtual queue, because as you can see, we're going to bring all traffic down to that zero level to kind of funnel through that staging area, and then you split on either side to get to either side of the curb. Currently, just as a note, I put staff down there daily that we're limited to about 350. We stack and pack vehicles down there at one time. Once that spills on a zero level, I have staff just sending them away today. We're hoping by doing this and by working with all of our partners and stakeholders that we keep that area flowing a lot better than what it is today, so it won't be stagnant. So a lot of our models and our simulations show that this will work and has been proven and worked at other airports as well. And then obviously the last one, as far as the current the per capita volumes can be held on that north curve, which is the smallest amount of space, but based on those volumes, it will be able to be accommodated. So this is where we're going. And again, we very much appreciate, we do plan to have some outreach meetings basically with the industry as we prepare for how the virtual queuing will work. Drivers will have to register, companies will have to vet the drivers. There is a process that will have to be go through that. And we plan to have those outreach meetings with the entities, with the industry and the drivers, and get down to whatever level it is that we need to. But so we'll be scheduling those with Todd and with Curtis and others. But we're very excited to do this, and it really is a long time coming, especially for those that have tried to get their way through the airport during some of those peak times.
How many parking places do you recapture once you do this with the TNC?
We had 296. Yes, it's 296. So currently the half of the garage is split up. There's 72 spots that they're utilizing, but not as parking spots as a continual flow. So once we recapture, it'll be the full 296 for that half of it.
I've been around long enough that I remember getting cabs.
From that side. Yeah, like I said, it is going back to where they were. And there's there's some other enabling products to make it happen as well. But we're looking forward to it. We're anticipating it. If all goes, like I said, we're going to do it in the phases, and we're going to make sure every phase is working and functioning. But we are anticipating to be done by the first of the year.
That's what I wanted to, so you're not gonna flip the switch on everybody one day.
We're not going to flip the switch. No, we want this to be successful and we want it to be efficient and effective. And we know there's no way we can do that without our stakeholders and partners' participation.
Are TNCs gonna likewise be queued with some kind of app or some?
Yeah, so we're engaging them just as we are the taxis, and there are a lot of details that we don't have completely worked out. We're looking for both industries, all industries, to kind of weigh in and give some of their expertise. The way we envision taxis right now is operating really fairly similar to the way it is today. First come, first served. We'll have staff servicing them the way they do. The biggest difference is when you come to the airport, you'll have windows of when to come and when you're authorized to be there. And we have an automated vehicle identification AVI system that will help us track and enforce and so forth that. But again, we'll work with all the companies on how that'll work. As far as the TNCs, same thing. We'll be working with them, whether they're set up in zones or how that's going to work. They do something called tiered queuing. So we're working with them on that side as well to make sure that things will be functioning and flowing as efficiently as possible. But yeah, so there's a lot still to do and to work on.
So is this gonna reduce the amount of idle time vehicles will have?
Yeah, it should greatly reduce the amount of idle time vehicles.
And I'm not talking just not carrying passengers, but sitting with an engine running.
Absolutely. It should great. Yes.
So have an air quality.
And to be, yeah, and we're hoping, I mean, we're also reaching out to the LVCBA, the resorts, et cetera. What we're hoping, what we don't want to happen, or I don't think anybody wants to happen, is to change from where you're idling, right, from one to the other. We're hoping that this allows everybody to get out and to the public and serve whatever needs. We don't want you hoping this doesn't create more people staging at Walmart or Lowe's or others. It's giving you opportunity to get out and increase your bottom dollar.
You said August, September. Is that August, September for taxis?
Yes. Yes. So per capita, the RFP should go out. We're tentatively planning for a July board approval for that. So once we move them to door 14, we'll immediately start on some modifications, some upgrades to the curb, setting up the queuing, et cetera. And then we'll be rolling taxis, making sure everybody's set up on the new gatekeeper virtual queuing system. And then we'll be moving that over to taxi. Yes.
So per capita, then taxis, then TNC.
And then TNC will be the last one. That is correct. Oh, like I said, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the collaboration. I strongly appreciate and want to express much gratitude for allowing Todd and Curtis to come out with us to Denver. I think it was extremely beneficial for all parties to see and to understand, what we're looking to accomplish and to kind of have a mutual goals. So.
Yep. How many phases are we talking about?
3.
Okay, so just taxi, TNC, and per capita.
Yeah, I mean, for these ones, yes. I mean, after TNCs get out of the garage, I'm gonna have multiple phases. As far as valet, as far as reservation parking, et cetera. But as far as the commercial transportation industry, 3.
And you think it's be done by January 2027?
That is my hope, but we're not gonna force it if there's hiccups, if there's reasons it can't. But I mean, we have the college football national championship. We have CES. We have a lot of stuff coming up in January. We would like it to be done and in place by then.
Okay. Does the staging or the virtual queuing address taxis getting rides from Ubers?
Not today, because I think you're talking about the pilot program that you're doing right now, which is geo-fenced from the airport. It doesn't today, but it does open up, being that you'll be on either side of the baggage claim, I think it opened up potential for the future. Just about how that would work, I don't know yet.
So you don't think there's a structural impediment to it?
I don't think there's a structural impediment. I think it'll increase any possibilities that could exist for future partnerships. Now, I mean, literally, you're on either side of baggage claim.
Okay. But I mean, has there been a conversation with the industry about that? I mean, you're speaking with both industries, so
This is the start. I think we've been in communication with, like I said, administrations. But this is really the start to, hey, we want to get out to the industry as well and start getting some collaboration and feedback and start working towards a common goal.
Yes, thank you. You all visited Denver's airport.
Yes.
Is that an airport that's kind of in close comparison to Harry Reid Airport?
I would say they definitely don't do the volumes that we do, especially when it
I
comes
don't
to
think so.
taxi.
So why Denver?
Because they're the last ones to do the virtual queue.
I see.
So it's fresh in there. They just went through it. They showed us all the steps and so forth. Yes, the biggest concern I will have is volume. But I don't know there's too many airports we can go that shows as a leader destination. And that's why we want to do it in phases. And that's why we want to make sure that we're fine tuning it as much as we can before we just jump.
So moving the taxis to the north side?
So taxis will be moving to the west side.
To the west side,
Yep.
and then you bring up TNCs up to where the taxis
That is
are
correct.
queuing. Was that the modernization team that chose to do that, or who made that decision?
So that was us working with Recondo, but as we were phasing this, as we were showing it, as modernization is looking to the future, right? The next 3, 5, 8 years, we wanted to make sure that we were transparent and that we were showing what it's going to be, not what it is, how transportation could possibly be when it gets to modernization, not how it technically is today. So they were able to look embedded as well.
Was that the only choice to do that like that?
No, there was a few other different options. That was by far kind of the best option based on the simulations of the models and given the current market share, right, as well. So right now, per capita runs somewhere around 16.
Oh my God, when you run into the airport to the gate and that guard pulls that gate closed and stops all the
Yep.
pedestrian
It's
traffic.
going away.
Guess what? That's going away.
Okay,
So right now the airport is working on escalators. It's part of a current project. The escalators will go from baggage claim up to level 2, over across level 2 and back to
thank
passenger
you so
pickup.
much. Yes,
And that
I was
walk,
aware.
that goes away. And that's another reason we can't do that. We can't complete this until that is in place as well. Because yes, we're still gonna have to put resources in different places, but that'll be one place that we'll be able to move that resource to another.
And then as you all bring the various stakeholders together, I think you had mentioned the OVCVA and some other entities. Will you all be doing this presentation in front of the Board of County Commissioners? And the reason I ask that is because if you are, my next question to that would be, and will they have a comment period for general public to be able to weigh in on any decisions, final decisions that you all make? Because I know, one of the things, and as a former county commissioner, one of the concerns that I used to have was that staff depended so much on what the tourists thought, opposed to asking locals and taxpayers here in Nevada, what do you think? And how does this impact you?
Yeah.
So,
No, great question. I can tell you that as of today, we have brought it forward to the county commissioners, but individually, not in a public forum, right? So we've made them aware of what's happening and so forth. So they are on board. They know about it. I don't know that it's going to be publicized. I don't know what that answer is as far as if it goes to a public forum, but that's why we're doing it with each individual entity. And we have, like I said, we've being transparent. We're showing we're not doing anything in a vacuum. Thank you, Brian.
Sorry. Brian Hull, Senior Director of Aviation, for the record. Those are some great questions. I think we tried to articulate here is that this is really kind of a pilot for us to learn some of the best practices. So it's helping inform the modernization plan, how we're going to actually optimize and maximize Terminal 1. We've been fully sort of transparent with the Board of County Commissioners about our plans. Not only having the stakeholders and airlines, the board all kind of weigh in on what we're proposing. It's in the 15% design. So if this informs us that we need to make some additional changes, we'll take those into consideration. Right now, as we said today, this is going to relieve some immediate congestion issues we have right now. As we pivot and move into the modernization phase, we'll take another step. There were almost 17 different alternatives. And then we narrowed those down to 10. And now we've narrowed these down to one that we can implement here in the near term. I mean, ultimately, our goal is to make sure that not only our passengers who travel here, but our local residents are going to be proud of the airport. This is not to create friction. I mean, the taxi cabs are a critical part of our ground transportation portfolio.
well, I'm glad to hear the attitude has changed as
Oh,
it
yeah.
relates to the taxi industry.
Absolutely.
And I like the fact that you're working with Todd and Curtis and the team, including the taxi industry, which is one of the oldest professions in the industry, if you will. And for the taxi industry to kind of be booted to the side for the TNC industry. I mean, like, come on,
And
really?
that's why I came up, because I don't want that to even be under consideration. This is not, we've took a lot of time and effort to really look at the entire portfolio. Ground transportation is not singly focused. There are different kind of products out there. There are different kind of passengers out there, and taxis are very much a part of it. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from this presentation, is that we're putting a lot of effort and energy and money into making sure that the taxi cabs is an integral part of our portfolio.
We appreciate that. And last thing, and I'll give it back to you, Mr. Chair. In 2019, I introduced and had it funded where parking space availability lights. We haven't seen those yet.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to the Commissioner Naft about that. The red and the.
We understand.
Yeah.
We're-
All right, thank
I'm a
you.
technocrat. I'm not interested in politics.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And as far as future planning, of course, it's been decades, 90s. So there was.
I believe it was. We have a resident expert here.
Just
90s,
just
yeah.
what the forecasting ahead is, it grows to 3 million plus people forecasting. How many years before you think there's another major change?
You know what?
How long
that,
probably
that's where,
we-
guys, that's where we're working with closely with the modernization team to continue to, and I think they're going to take a lot of the input.
I wasn't sure I understood the question.
So like right now, it'll be completed by August, September of this year? That's
Well, for the taxis, not the full phases, we're hoping to be done by January.
rolled out by January, and then how many years that would alleviate? current problem.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
So
think it-
as you
just-
said, they're enabling projects. We've taken into consideration the passenger safety. So we're going to create another vertical circulation for the passengers so they don't have to interfere
Mm,
with TNCs and the taxiway. So that's going to be resolved.
That's nice.
The next phase of it is within the next 5 years, we're going to be looking at optimizing or balancing the Terminal 1 to Terminal 2. So moving certain airlines over there. So we're going to reduce the congestion even more. And then the T1 redevelopment is the ultimate plan. And I think we would have had enough data to inform us what's going to be the best circulation for taxis and TNCs to co-mingle. We're also taking into account two multimodals. So we may be looking at other kind of satellites to remove buses. So we're constantly looking at ways to decongest the areas around the immediate terminal. So that's going to give more freedom for the taxiways and TNCs to not compete with other modal traffic.
It's good.
So it's an iterative process. And we're doing this way because at this unique market, it's not like them. It's not like LAS. So we're taking this in a very phased approach. And the way we're doing our modernization is we'll be rolling it out. You'll see part of why we're doing it this way is that we're sort of learning as we go. And you said you were around back when it was on the other side. I mean, since I've been here, we've been moving TNCs and ballards around like it's just the way it is here in Vegas. We've moved the buses down to zero level. We moved them up. It'll continue to, we're trying to make it less confusing. I mean, we have a Terminal 1 and a Terminal 3. I mean, come on, it's going to be a Terminal 1, Terminal 2. And not to, bring in the SNSA, but if our supplemental airport, we'll have a Terminal 3. So we're looking at this in a very phased. And we're here to say you're a partner, and that's why we're taking the time and effort to come out and talk to you.
Thank you
So
so much.
we have a new sheriff in town. His name is James Chrisley.
Yeah,
And we are trying to be more business centered and make sure we keep our stakeholders together.
nice.
Okay.
So doesn't really have anything to do with, well, my in-law. Is the redevelopment of T1 going to be phase 2? It's not like you're
It
going
will
to try
be.
it because you couldn't shut it down and start
Absolutely
from
not.
scratch.
It will be.
You're going to be
kept-
stuck with some of the structural
No,
layout.
it will not be. It will be
Oh.
phased out over time, but we have to keep it gate neutral.
Yeah.
So while we're building on top of it, we're actually keeping.
I get it. I'm
Yeah.
one of our TAAs outside. So
Absolutely.
I
No.
get
I want to make it clear, we're not shutting down. Because some things go viral and it's like he said,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I just couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to be clear.
Yeah.
That wasn't what you were saying. Any other questions? Mr.
Just a couple of comments. Curtis and I are meeting with the airport weekly. We have been for some time. I appreciate that they want our input, that they are not pushing taxis to the side. I think this is a plan that will help the industry a lot. They also want to be very upfront and meet with the industry. Virtual queue is going to be something new. I was very impressed with it when I went to Denver. I think it's something that will help the industry as well. Change is difficult sometimes without knowing what's going to happen, but I think the airport is very astute in wanting to meet with the industry as much as they can until they understand it, and it works. And they're willing to do different meetings. They've asked me what the best way it is to get in touch with the industry and how to roll this out. I'm willing to work with the airport and the industry to try to make this as smooth as we can.
So I would suggest future agenda item where you report back to us what the mechanics, your proposed mechanics for that. It's going to be like, not using the regulatory term, workshops or training programs or whatever, but I think the board would probably like to see that there's a playbook with a game plan here, such that we don't get down the road, haven't thought out exactly about the process and then
Chair, for the record, and we are looking to develop a roadshow sort of presentation. So I think that the goal is to get everyone on the same page. We're pretty excited about this, and I think everyone in this room should be excited about what we're trying to propose.
I'm immensely excited there'll be more parking spaces in T1. Instead of parking in T3, parking in, yeah. Right?
Chairman,
Flipping over.
I also wanted to add, at our next meeting, Curtis and I are going to walk with the airport people and look for signage. I think signage is going to be vital. And we've been discussing maybe some electronic signage and that's down the road and conversations I need to have with the industry, but we want signage to be better.
I think that is a very good point. Because I think some of our challenges have been airport signage, especially as we've gone to zone pricing and when we have surcharge pricing for special events and that. You guys are the venue, but we're the ones that take the complaints from customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do too. Oh, okay.
But we push them.
Pass them on to him. He has can report them to us. Anyway, okay, that's great. Anything else?
So I guess at our next meeting, after you have that walkthrough and everything else about signage and that sort of thing, I would just like to have some sort of a understanding of how you think that the new configuration is going to affect enforcement for the TA out at the airport. I know Member Decker's not here today, so I feel like I'm sitting towards his spot. So I thought I'd bring that up, at least just if you think it's going to affect it, how you're going to address it, that sort of thing.
I will say we've had discussions. Obviously, the cab drivers are going to have to be for the virtual queues. They'll have to be on the app. So for people that go out to the airport and are not on the app, the airport is going to know. I'm not saying we're going to go out and cite everybody right away, but it is going to be a learning curve and there will be enforcement for that. We've already discussed it amongst the office.
But to the extent that the airports are, which it's not a major point, but UPCs, that would help there.
It will.
Yeah. We do that downtown somehow. No,
We'll try.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate your. Takes us to agenda item 6. This is the regularly noticed opportunity to receive reports on the pilot programs. Viewed affidavits of public notice and they are in proper form. Does anybody wish to? None. Deputy.
Good morning, Curtis Mell, Deputy Administrator of the Taxicab Authority. In section 6, there should be a little tab at the top of it there that will take you over to the stat section on that. So we can just kind of go over February. As you can see, the list of companies have grown. Everybody is in it now. A couple companies are on dual platforms. I've made a couple notes there. For the month, there was 6,689 rides. It's a little bit more than the previous month. There hasn't really been any changes or anything for the month. Everybody's rolling it out. It's slowly growing more and more. Past that sheet is the submissions from the individual companies and there hasn't been any real notable problems. It's just kind of the same thing. The one thing that keeps coming back is driver training. It really seems to be the one thing. It's just getting people comfortable in it, learn it. It's new technology. it's a different way of doing things, and it's just going to take time and the companies to keep educating the drivers and getting them out there. You can see it is working. It is getting them by the heat maps. You can see there is getting some more rides out there. But and the average ride now has jumped up. Last month, I believe, was like $10. We're almost to $13 on the average ride. Still roughly about the same length in distance. But it's gaining momentum. I think it's a positive thing. And the plus is we're not getting any negative complaints coming into the agency. That's all I have to report. If any of the other companies want to come up and speak on their experience with what's going on.
But before you go, questions, board members?
Rides are continuing to increase.
Yeah, there is an increase. I mean, definitely, I think we'd all love to see a lot more, but it's increasing, and to me, that's positive.
And regarding the trips turned away by the driver, is that on par?
Yeah, the way their system works, it is a heavily inflated number, but because they'll offer one person the ride, and if that doesn't take it, they pull it back, they offer it again. So the same ride gets offered multiple times. So it isn't that many missed rides, and it's hard. I can't tell the difference of genuine rides to repetitive ones. So if we just kind of look at it as an overall, if more rides are getting accepted, and I think most of the companies, as they're turning up the faucet to 100%, you're going to see that there's a large amount of rides out there. A couple of the heat maps show all the rides and then the ones that were accepted, and there are a lot out there. So just got to get everybody on board and in the areas.
Question. Can go away. So the pilot ends next month. Is there any reason, Todd or Curtis, that we would not want to try to continue?
My standpoint, absolutely not. I think we are all moving in the right direction. And as we all know, there may be some statutory changes that we need to make. Some regulatory changes are in place. But I think this program is huge. And it's not just taxis. I don't know if you saw in the newspaper, Zoox is going on the UberX app now. We need to keep pace in the taxi industry, and I don't see any reason why we shouldn't continue this until we get this solidified in legislature and make sure the program's working.
I agree with the administrator that this has been, I have no negative sides of it. It's everything's been positive. We're not getting complaints. We're getting additional rides. This has been the positive out of it. If the money aside, it's just more rides. Just more rides overall is a benefit. We can worry down the road of additional items. I'd like to see this to expand and keep going on, so then we can get the wheelchair access be part of this as well. That would be the big thing to move forward in the second part if we do extend the pilot.
I would say the biggest challenge, and Curtis brought it up, is just driver training. To change is hard. And they're so used to doing rides a specific way, and this is new shiny object, and we just need to get them trained to understand that this is going to benefit them and benefit the industry.
I think you will have different levels of adoption, perhaps based on driver preference too. It may not be just age driven. It may be just, I don't want to do that.
Along with the airport modernization, this is another time that it's another option. you know, as things change, more options is good, is better than not having them.
I raised this so that we have the conversation. I think we can have the conversation earlier rather than later. We may not need to wait for April. We're properly noticed for action, right? We have received some comments on the draft regs that would be necessary to put this in place. Web is, I think, working through those comments. I have been also, but we're not in temporary regulation season. So it won't be till July of this year. I think so. July 1, right? It's telling me my memory's not totally gone. And I don't anticipate that we will be in a position to adopt a permanent regulation, given how long it takes to get through LCB. So we will be adopting a temporary regulation that would band-aid us through the legislative session. As you may recall, we have guidance from the AG's office about 5 or 6 issues. Draft regs are trying to address those. But I would, and Ms. Webb, you guys can weigh in if you think differently. Ms. Rushton, you can come up and weigh in differently if you think. I would not think we will be in a position to adopt a temporary regulation till September, because we're going to have to draft it. We're going to have a workshop. We're going to have an adoption hearing. And I think well, this is what I think we will bifurcate, not be in a position to send these regulations back to the LCB at the same time that permanence. I don't think we'll have vetted that yet. You think I'm right, or
Be very close. LCB tells me they're pretty sure they'll get back to us in 30 days.
pardon?
LCB's pretty sure they can get us a return in 30 days right now.
So
It could be really close.
we might have permanent,
Awesome.
possibly. The reason I'm raising this is I think for continuity, we don't want to stop the pilot and then adopt a regulation and restart it. That it would be dumb, to use a technical term. So I'm going to raise the perspective that we continue the pilot program from April 17th, and that's sticking in my mind too, to September 30th, something like that. It's Web.
October or November, just, and if we do it sooner, that'd be great. To make it permanent. That would be-
Oh, you think further out if we don't make the permanent because of the temporary process?
Yes, because of LCD
Oh, okay.
with the temporaries, because they're
So
gonna get a little busier.
You think October, Nevada?
Yeah.
Good with that. Seems patriotic. So that would be my suggestion, that we do that so that there's not some lack of clarity 2 days before the pilot's going to close, that it's going to just continue on until we can get the rules in place. Or, I don't want to prejudge, or the Attorney General's office, in fairness to them, say these regs don't cut it. But I haven't, I don't know that we're going to be there. I think it's more a matter of they're going to tell us this language doesn't need to do something. And just to be transparent, there's some issues about how we get the rate data that is on file with another agency to be our rate data. There is a mechanic there that we're going to have to work out with a sister agency because of their rules about that data. So there's some mechanics here we've got to work out. So I'm good with October. You know, there's no magic between September 30 and October. So I don't know if any member of the board is inclined, any other members of the board are willing to do that, but I would want to give opportunity for any member of industry who's in the pilot who wants the pilot to end in April. You know, I'm not being flippant there. Is there some reason why the industry wouldn't want us to extend them? Doesn't look like there's anybody beating a path to tell us stop. So, their board preferences.
No, that's what I was gonna ask, is
Oh.
if anybody in the industry wanted to make a statement or anything like that, or any opposition to us continuing the pilots en banc all the way through October 31st, right? That's what I would ask, but
Oh. It prompted to come up and tell us, oh, no, we're done.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Kimberly Maxon Rushton with the law firm Cooper Levinson, appearing on behalf of the Livery Operators Association. Want to thank Curtis for the assistance with the pilot program. Obviously, Administrator Parking's Webb's assistance has been so valuable during this time. As the board is aware, we had set a date for the April agenda to come back and talk about the pilots, what may need to be changed, some other key factors that the board wanted to know. What Administrator Park and I have been talking about is that at the April agenda, we would utilize that to get some feedback from the board to help draft a bill draft request. Obviously, the TA has authority to submit bill draft request. I've been in discussions with legislators about the importance of the pilot program and asked that they would support it and or consider holding a bill out for us, which they have agreed to. One of the things that I think we also need to add to our discussion about the specifics, and as we work through this process, and if we could continue to have the monthly meeting or the discussion, it helps us look at where we need to finalize or really hone in on the specifics in the bill draft request. Sometimes it's easy just to do, as you know, enabling language, and then you just, kick it over to the regs, and then we really do go through the reg process and develop the actual processes and procedures. With the pilot program, we have the ability to do that now. That's why we've started working on the regs, but we're still continuing to see issues come up. One in particular is the excise tax. That's a question that I'm regularly asked as to the responsibility during the pilot program of the excise tax. My recommendation is that if you look at, and it's not a recommendation, it is honestly my opinion, but you have 372B, and it's 140 and 145, and they specifically talk about the excise tax on the TNCs. And because of the fact that the TNCs set the rate, select the rate, they are the ones that are responsible for remitting that to the state. So it's their responsibility. We can work that out in our agreements through the pilot program, specifically with the TNCs. But that's something I think would probably need to be clarified, or we'll need to ask for an advisory opinion from the Department of Taxation. But I just note this because these are the specifics that we need to be cognizant of as we proceed with drafting a bill draft. so that we know what the issues are. We utilize this period to really ensure that we craft a bill that takes into consideration the NTA's regulation of the TNCs, how they set their rates, and then how the TA will administer that consistent with the pilot program. And yes, there's the ongoing consideration relative to the merger of the two agencies. So those are the things that I think, again, if the board is inclined to extend the pilot program to October, I would strongly recommend that we continue to have the dialogue so that we can ensure that we have a bill draft that really adequately meets the needs and ensures that we have the program consistent with what we've been developing during this period. In addition to that, Chairman and members of the board, what I would propose is that continue to work with Administrator Park on a bill draft request and perhaps bring that back for consideration and input so that, again, we just have the best bill that we can to ensure that this pilot program and the success that we've already enjoyed and everything will continue indefinitely.
So to assure you, Ms. Webb and I've had this conversation, that administratively, I've told her, as long as the pilot's going, it's noticed for public hearing every month.
Yes, sir.
Because we have to be able to pull the plug if we have to be able to make a change on the fly if we haven't noticed it for a public hearing, and we're sidelining ourselves. So we're going to continue to do that. I think we may look at whether we can do multiple months, as we've done with a couple of other matters, so we can set the cost of the publication, but I think it should be on the agenda.
I beg approval to do that.
Oh, you did, okay.
And Chairman and members of the board, as the discussion with the airport progresses, I would strongly suggest that we talk to them about not having the geofencing that would preclude the pilot from going forward. As they're looking at transitioning and things that can accommodate the deplaning passengers coming out of Reed Airport, that's one. We're here. They're making accommodations for the ABIs. Why not make accommodations for this pilot program? It's only beneficial to the deplaning passengers that are coming into our county. So again, if that can be added to that discussion, or if we can take that up separately with the airport, I think it's important that we do so ahead of time. Thank you.
Board's preference? Each one open?
I don't see why I wouldn't, extend it. So I guess I'll make,
Motion?
I'll make a motion that we continue all pilot programs until October 31st of this year.
Seconded and moved and seconded. Yeah. Any further conversation on this? Good. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? But I do think agenda, we keep this on the agenda and we flesh out through materials, whatever other additional issues need to be. Takes us to agenda item 7. The notice for public hearing. This is the continued notice on Pettiglow application, which is in bankruptcy. And I have reviewed the affidavits of publication, proper notice for public hearing. I've opened it up for
Good morning.
a report on what's going on.
The board, I'm Kimberly Maxon Rushton with the law firm Cooper Levinson, appearing on behalf of Pettiglow. Do not have much of a report to offer to the board this morning. As you're aware, this matter is currently in the bankruptcy proceeding. The bidding process has initially started, but it is still ongoing. We have not selected a stalking horse bidder yet, and therefore the process has, I believe, I would say another 4 to 6 weeks for being completed.
The auction process?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
So
couple months.
again, with your permission, what we'll do is just continue to work with staff to update them on matters. And as there's any material developments relative to the bankruptcy matter, we'll certainly share that with staff.
for purposes of agenda, is this something that could go off for a couple
Yes,
months?
sir. Recommend that we pull it off and it's acceptable. I understand what your deadlines are going forward and we'll ensure that we use it.
With enough time recognizes the number of days we have to give to get a public hearing back on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I don't, we don't need to make you come and we don't need to pay for it to keep on getting published if nothing. Any,
So I believe we also have it noticed for April and
yeah, but then we could go off if at April we don't hear, oh, the auctions, you said 4 to 6,
Yes.
could be here and say auction's done, here's the winner.
So leave it.
But just because there's a winner doesn't mean the bankruptcy courts approved the whole, all the mechanics of it either, so. Could be another month or two after that, so.
What I can do with the chair's permission is, this is acceptable. I can notify Ms. Webb next week as to the status of matters, give more confirmation as to the specific filing dates relative to the auction and a final decision. And we can go from there.
It's just our intent to be able to move
Yes, sir.
with some alacrity, once bankruptcy court is made its decision. And we can tell it we don't agree or we do agree. Any other questions on this matter? Thank you very much. Completed agenda item 8 already. Takes us to agenda item 9, which is staff reports.
Thank you, Chair. I will be very brief.
Thank you.
I don't know how brief the chief will be, but I will be brief. I did want to bring up that on March 9th, the gasoline surcharge goes on watch for 30 days. Obviously, there's things in the world that are creating higher gas prices, so we'll keep an eye on that. Who knows? Maybe we'll even reach tier 2. I don't know, but just wanted to let you guys know that.
The guidance and the order we have in place is sufficient for your needs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. For the month, our trips, we did break 1 million. We did not break 1 million last year in the month of February, so I'm encouraged to see that. The revenue per trip was really basically the same as it was last year, very close to the same. The lease driver revenue per trip is basically the same at 1 penny off. So the combined trips comparison right now through January and February, we're over 2 million, which I'm happy to see. The medallions have not changed. The lease decal by company, we're still at 2,128. And I'm going to let Chief Padre talk about the agency stats.
Morning, Chief Del Padre, Chief Enforcement. So last month we, as both the administrator and deputy administrator said, all the numbers are up, including enforcement. We had an increase of 113% in citations, 130% in violations. Of those violations, the vast majority were the rotation of taxi stand and solicitation of passengers by voice or action. So we're trying to curb that. We did have a slight increase in UPTs by 1. We had 7 this month. Complaints are also up 18%. Accidents are up 13%. So we're trying to curb that as well.
The monthly vehicle report, the out of services, 137, 24 hour notices was at 175. So the cabs in service, we're still over 3,000, almost 3,100. And that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions if you guys have any.
I'm not immediately seeing impoundment. Oh, 7.
7 impounds, yes. We had 6 last year, and in February 2025, we had 2. So Chief Del Padre is doing a good job with the 2 agencies combining the enforcement staffs has helped. He has been out there beating the pavement, talking with the resort corridor people. He's making some headway. The chief and I gave a presentation a couple weeks ago to the Chiefs and Sheriffs, or I'm sorry, Security and Chiefs Association, and it was directly about illegal transportation. And as you know, one of the biggest challenges is people know who our people are. Have pictures of them. They know what they drive. They know what shifts they work. They even have briefings before they go out and work. And so the chief is looking for ways to get people, fresh faces out there to help us with the illegal transportation. And I think we're making some headway.
Questions?
Why do you think you're making headway? What did they tell you during that meeting that made you think?
We had several people approach us afterwards that are willing to assist us with the issue. They understand the issue. They deal with the issue, especially at a lot of these resorts, and they don't like to see the illegal transportation either. And there can be some liability for them as well. So we had probably 10 or 15 people approach us after the meeting, gave us business cards. And I know Dominic's in the process of reaching out to them, trying to set something up. And I don't want to go into specifics about how we're going to
enforcement.
do it.
I don't want to know about enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Legal counsel, anything?
No update.
Future agenda items? We identified a couple today.
Yes.
Okay. Any other future agenda items?
Chairman, just in closing, we have one of our employees that all the board members know very well, Gail. She received some horrible news this past week, so I would just ask that we keep her in our thoughts and prayers. And for the board, if you need to reach out instead of going through Gail, just for the time being, if you'll just get a hold of me, and we'll take care of whatever your needs.
Anything else on agenda of time? I'll just, the administrator knows I think I've told you also, you will be chairing in April. Yeah, I have a contested case hearing that day. Or both that week. Vice Chair Graff will be ably handling the helm. That takes us to agenda item 10. It's our second public comment hearing. Or comment period. This matter is on our agenda pursuant to Chapter 241 of the Nevada Revised Statute. Take comment from the public on matters within our jurisdiction. We can't take action on these items, but we do welcome members of the public providing input to us. Is there any member of the public present in the room in Las Vegas that would like to address us? None. Oh,
I have a question.
yes.
So not to belabor the meeting or what have you, but I heard you earlier mention something about get the gasoline crisis, and I don't know if we went into it or if there was some type of reason you asked that question, but I wanted to know, will there be, in the event there is a crisis that happens as it relates to gasoline and the impact that it could have on the industry, is that something that we're going to discuss? Maybe have an agendized item, Todd or Curtis, in the future to talk about, what's on the docket, what are the plans, how are we dealing with this issue from this industry standpoint?
So good question.
Thank you.
And I'll give you the answer.
Okay.
Because we have it.
All right.
And when we had this last occur, I believe JD Decker was the acting administrator.
Hmm.
At the time, we, by order, have put in place a basically, he'd be, square me up if I misstate this. There's basically a, for lack of a better term, a formula. When it hits, and that formula is based off of the Western Regional price of gasoline as reported. And when it hits certain hallmarks, we have empowered the administrator to place a surcharge that captures additional revenue for the certificate holder in the rate for that increase. So basically a fuel surcharge is added to the tariff in accordance with the guidance we have given him in that order as to how much should go up based on, and I can't remember, is it the wholesale price or is it the retail?
It's the wholesale.
Yeah, so that as the wholesale price goes up, then these increments go up as well. Now, I think we have previously, we go all the way to, I don't remember, went one notch below, we went to the 4 of the 5, yeah, 4 of the 5 last time, never got all the way. So there is a mechanism. What happens reporting wise is at the meeting, first of all, he is authorized to communicate it to the industry, and he does that and tells them flip the switch on your meter. And he does that by an order because we don't want him to wait for a monthly meeting for us to do it. And then he reports at that monthly meeting, I issued this order, the surcharge is at X. So we will have transparency to it, but it will not wait for us to make a decision. We've already empowered him, the administrator, to make that decision based on a metric, a public metric. Is that?
Yeah.
And we can get you a copy of the order if you'd like to see it. Yeah.
It's in the book.
Huh? Oh, is it in the book?
It's here.
But is it behind that chart?
There is, the order itself is not in there.
Yeah.
Just that
The
chart.
chart is,
Right,
this is
but
the
it-
chart.
Yeah, it does have the tiers that it has to
Right.
hit.
So that, see the tiers on that chart? So those are the tiers
If we cross this.
that, yes, it crosses that, the issued in order. So we're at 5.122 and at 5.66, he issues.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
That-
So, but we had, yes, we had to travel across. But great point, is you guys weren't here when he had to. Any other items, any other public comments? Nobody in the hopefully who wants to comment to us? That'll close our comment session. 2, that brings us to adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And you,
Second.
second, all those, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying
Aye.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Easter Bunny.
Hey, Easter.